this is a really cool thing for me to do. So our guest today, his name is JJ. We met in Japan when we both studied abroad there. He is in Japan. He's a music producer in Japan. So he's being kind enough to stay up in the middle of the night. He's originally from the UK. You'll hear the cool British accent. But the reason he's here is he has a new song that just came out. That's awesome. I'm going to play it in a bit. You'll all get a link. Don't worry. But when he told me about the inspiration for the song, I was really surprised. And it really kind of aligns with everything we just talked about. So with that, JJ, welcome to our Wellbeing Wednesdays. You have hundreds and hundreds of people from all over the world here to say hi to you. Say hi to everyone and tell us about your song, and then we'll dive in.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really nice to see you on this Zoom call, and thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this. I really appreciate it. I joined about 8 or 9 minutes ago, so I now feel very guilty about everything that we're going to talk about. But this is really nice, so thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
We're psyched.
Yeah, it's Guernsey, I see. Someone's from Guernsey. Wow.
Oh, good. You pronounced it. I wasn't going to try.
Oh, I wish you had. I wish you had.
Oh, look. Someone just typed in Japanese.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Read it. Read it. This is a test.
All right. どこら辺に留学したの? Where did we study? We studied in Kansai Gaidai.
That's right.
We studied in Osaka. And I couldn't even say the word Osaka for the longest time. I just couldn't get that sound into my head. It took me a long time.
Really funny.
I'm half Spanish. I can speak a few languages, but for some reason, Japanese at the beginning was quite tricky. I got some applause. Thank you very much.
You did it right. You did it right. All right. Tell us about your song.
Thank you very much. So the song is called Love with a D. Obviously, love is spelled L-O-V-E. And at some point, I decided, nope, it's spelled with a D on the end. So whenever you spell love from now on, you have to spell it L-O-V-E-D. And the conversations in the song is about that kind of idea. It's about letting go of something, deciding that something isn't worth it anymore or is holding you back. It could be a romantic thing. It could be a personal thing. It could be a spiritual thing. It could be all those things. I kept it open in the lyrics. It doesn't necessarily allude to anything in particular. But for me specifically,
for me specifically,
I felt a little bit of trouble trying to continue with music the way it was going. I had all these aspirations and dreams and what I could achieve in Japan and who I could work with and where I could go and what I could do. And I just felt there was a wall, there was a ceiling that I couldn't get through or past. And I started to feel like I couldn't really continue as much as I could. And it was really getting to me. And I'm not the only person to feel that. I know a lot of people feel the same way about their musical career. Music is not that music is any different to any other career. I only know it because that's what I'm doing now. Music is really tough though, because you have negativity and no every day from everywhere. It's 1,000 no's and then one yes for every decision that you might make. And if you're indie or semi-indie or just not major, you're making all the decisions yourself. And when it's no every time, you really have to have quite a mental fortitude to continue, to even want to continue. And I just got to a point where it was like, there's more days where I want to continue versus the days I'm thinking, oh, it might be time to do something else. But that's what the feeling was. I just felt like I needed to put a D on the end of this love that I had and maybe move in a different direction. It was kind of a question to myself.
I told everyone, I don't know if you heard that part, but I know I've told you, I was really surprised that was the inspiration for the song. And the singer, KINO, when she talked about her kind of connection to the song, she also talked about not something romantic, but her kind of challenge to make it as a musician through all the challenges. And so, you know, you guys, this is why I wanted JJ to come and talk to us, because I think it is so important to recognize that we are not alone in our challenges, right? So JJ is in music. I was in tech, and now I'm teaching emotional health skills. We have people here from every kind of industry and every kind of company and every kind of job. It's something that happens as human beings. We get to a really, really tough place. And this is what we're talking about, is how can we get through that with self-compassion, and how can that actually help us? So I want to actually ask you a personal question, but just for everyone, I did ask permission to ask this question. Although you guys know I'm fairly obnoxious, I'll do it anyway.
the permission was, I'm going to ask you some questions. Is that okay? To be clear.
Yeah. So it was the Russian way. It was the Russian way. I
It was
took
the
the
Russian way.
friendship license. Okay. I was
That's
like,
right.
I'm going to ask you some questions. Cool. Great.
That's right.
Fine.
Do I need to put the handcuffs on now, or am
That's
I?
later. That's later.
Okay.
No problem. As long as you answer, we're fine.
Okay. The
Okay.
interrogation.
Here's a question. So we talked when we reconnected. We were talking about the careers, the paths that we've taken. I asked JJ. I think my question was, well, how what is something you feel about yourself, or how would you describe yourself, or something you feel? Do you remember what you said?
Yeah, you asked me in one word,
Right.
describe what you feel, and I said 2 words. I couldn't think of one word. Not enough.
Right.
And then I said lacking. I think when I made it in one word, lacking.
So,
and I do feel that.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for just being open about that. It's not easy, and I actually want to. That's a big thing to actually open up about. That's how we feel. That's obviously what we've been talking about today. So I want to ask you, it's something that it's come up when we've chat, it comes up, right? It's something, and I want to, I guess, ask you how you deal with that, because, I've given you my spiel about how I think that's a big blocker. This is what I've talked to our awesome humans today about. But I want you to just talk a little bit about how you get through that, because I've encouraged you to shift out of the I'm not good enough into this is how I am. What can I do? But I'd love for you to just talk about how you deal with that, because you've shared how hard the industry is, but there's also hard stuff inside.
Yes. So I do feel it. I do feel that I'm not enough, but that's not enough for me to stop or quit, for sure. So I think because a lot of people feel the same way about various different, it could be a romantic, I'm not enough. It could be a professional, I'm not enough. We all feel, or a lot of us feel the same way. I wanted to write a song that would explain that, encapsulate that, but not suggest anything, not suggest a direction. I'm basically just saying, I'm with you. I'm listening to you. I'm not giving you any advice on how to do it. I'm just saying it's a place I understand. It's actually a sort of a warm place in some ways as well. It's not like a cold, dark place. There is something to it, to know that you're kind of crushed and you're kind of maybe at the end of, the possibility of where you can go. But KINO, my singer, said, when I gave her the song, Maze is about half a year after she had sung it. She said, for me, the D is you just put on the end to move on. It's actually giving you an opportunity to put the D on the end. And there you are, you just do it and then off you go. It's catharsis. So I was like, okay, well, that's a nice way of looking at it. And a few other people said things like, it's sad to do, but it's necessary to do. Maybe the D means destiny, or, draw the line, divergence. Someone said love with a divergence. I thought that was quite cool. Basically, a few people had different ways that it could go. But for me, I know we've talked about this, but just to explain to everyone, I hope it helps you to say how terrible an idea that is. I don't enjoy the feeling of swinging up and down, being happy 1 minute and being really sad the next. I'm prone to being that type of person. I'm very, very aware of it. Since we met, actually, all those years ago in Osaka, I felt that about myself. And I've tried to catch myself in a middle as much as possible. So it doesn't really, it doesn't correlate exactly, but footballers in the UK, they're all disciplined to, when they lose a game, get back to the middle again. When they win a game, get back to the middle. Just go back, next game. And it's the same for me. Next song, next cycle, next album, next show. Just get up and do it again. Even if it was amazing and you're on top of Mount Fuji, come back down and do it again.
There's something I want to interrupt you, because there's something in what you said right before this that I think is a really, I think it's an important insight for everyone that I just want to illuminate, because it's actually, and it's connected to what we were talking about before you came on. I think that love with a D can also apply, and I think it should apply, to the story we tell ourselves about ourselves, right? So I started this whole session by talking about that in my conversations, not just with you, but a lot of leaders that I work with, a lot of successful people, myself, that there is this narrative, there's a story that we keep telling ourselves about ourselves in our head, right? I'm not good enough musician. I'm not good enough as an author. I'm not original enough. Like I've shared with everyone here, one of my things as I'm working on my next book is, am I original enough? Am I saying original enough things? And I think it's what you said about what Kino said and transcendence, I think that love with a D, this idea of, okay, done, next, I think it's also something that's really powerful to apply to our narrative about ourselves. I think that, and I guess this is my lens on it, is just because we've criticized ourselves our whole life, as many people here share they have, right? As I know I shared I've had, it doesn't mean that that's what we have to keep doing, right? That love with a D can also imply to how we treat ourselves and how we talk to ourselves. It's a really powerful idea to think about that love with a D can also apply to how we think about ourselves. And this to me is also your whole, like, not too high, not too low, that we have a choice. To me, love with a D is about being able to choose. It's about being able to choose to let something go. It's about being able to choose to move forward. And to me, what I've been sharing with you guys about, you know, shifting from self-criticism into self-compassion, because it actually helps you to improve, it actually helps you to be better, is you can do love with a D on your self-criticism. You can do love with a D on your constant narrative of beating yourself up, and you can free yourself from that. And I think it's really, really powerful. And I just saw this briefly, JJ, someone just said it's making them cry. Something about what we're talking about is making them cry. And this is why I wanted you to join, because that for me, I don't think I've told you this, I've saved this. That for me is what is love with a D. Love with a D for me is what I have let go of and what I'm still working on letting go of and moving past, is the story that I've always told myself about myself, that I'm meant to struggle, that I'm always gonna struggle, that I'm not good enough. That is my love with a D. And that is why I wanted you to be here. And for all of you, that is why I wanted you to meet JJ and to have the song in your lives, because you have a choice. So much of what we talk about every week is that you have agency. You have a choice. You are not victim to what happens to you, of your thoughts. You get to choose. And I think this idea of dealing with our challenges and being really open about, like, this isn't working or this is a struggle, right? That's a big part. One of the skills, JJ, that we talk a lot about here is acceptance, is just seeing, like, acceptance not as the end, but as the beginning, like, this is how it is. And then you say love with a D to that, and you move on, and you get to choose again. It's really hard to let things go, right? It's hard to let things go. And that's what love with a D is about. I wonder what you've heard from some of the folks who've heard the song, or some of the people who've worked on the song. Like, what are some things that people are working to let go of? You've told us about yours.
Really interestingly, for Kino, 99% of people that she talks to, almost everyone, has said that it's about like a future love. Nothing about the past, nothing about the present boyfriend or girlfriend. It's about something in the future. And she actually asked me the other day, if you had to associate yourself with a period of time in history, like the 1980s or the 1850s or whatever it is, when would it be? And I thought about it. I didn't know why she asked me the question or what she expected me to say. In my head, I wasn't quite sure what I would say, but I just suddenly said, you know what? Actually, it's the future. It's a kind of a sort of a neon cyber. And before I finished my thought, she's like, me too. And it was interesting that just from her point of view, it's about the future, looking forwards, which, being a sort of a, not negative person, but being a melancholic person, writing songs that are tinged with sadness rather than super happy and let's go party, everything's great. That was interesting that we both choose to look to the future. We don't sort of wallow in the past.
That is interesting. And someone just shared something that I was going to talk about. This is letting go of expectations of the future can be as hard as letting go of things in the past, right? And a lot of so I think that really resonates. And I think one of the things that is really essential, and this is, again, a lot of what we talk about here, there's a difference between having goals and having hopes. And that's what we do as human beings. We don't function without hope. We would not go through our day if we don't have hope for something better, right? I've talked to you all about, and I write about this in my book, that when I really was in a dark place, the thing that I lost for the first time in my life was hope. And that's what made it so hard. But I think there's a difference between having hopes and goals and expectations of ourselves. And I think it's a really powerful difference. And I think that's the difference, which is at the essence of what we're talking about. But also there's a almost like a juggle that we do. If we're constantly looking towards expectations in the future, we're missing today. We're missing this moment. We're missing ourselves in this moment. We're missing the magic of this moment. And so much of what I've learned, and I know I've shared with many of the folks who are on here in different ways, is what I've learned is the more that I can be fully present and be at my best in this moment, that actually brings me closer to where I want to be. And that for me is a huge shift. And so letting go of expectations. So the hope is there. You know, I've talked to you guys about, like, my hope is I want to be helping millions of people all over the world struggle less and feel more at ease and embrace their full awesome human. That's what I want to be doing. But where I try to center every day is, yeah, that's there for me. But every day I come back to, what can I do today? Like, how can I help someone today? How can I be at my best today? How can I fuel myself today? And I think that's a powerful thing. And so I know lots of folks are actually talking about expectations in chat. We should do, we'll do another webinar on that.
Yeah, that's kind of like reclaiming control. I mean, I would write a song in order to process what I'm going through, you know, on this day. And that's so you're in the moment, going through that moment. And that's why you write the song, which provides catharsis at the end of it. And so you can look to the future. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think when you, if it's a romantic thing, when you're with someone and then you're not with them anymore, you've given them a piece of your heart. Here's the whole heart. You've given them a little tranche of your heart. And the truth is, you probably don't ever get that back. That stays with them, for better or for worse. And I don't know if it replaces itself, or if it grows, or if it gets covered over, or if it's a Band-Aid forever. That probably depends on you, but that little piece is always gone. So that's the D right there. Whether it's for a person or it's for a pet. And I feel the same thing about all those different
You know, it's interesting. I heard you say this. I think you say this in a video somewhere, because I've heard you say this. And I remember thinking in the moment, wow, that's really sad. But I actually think it's, you're not surprised. I think about it a little differently. I do think, and I don't think it's just romantic. I think that everything we give our heart into, whether it's a painting for me or a job, or, you know, I'm an entrepreneur. I've started 5 companies. Some of them failed. Parts of my heart are there, right? It's still, they might have, you know, failed, or it's something I've done, I don't know, 10 years ago. Part of my heart is there. But I do think that as human beings, we have immeasurable, unlimited capacity to expand and grow. I do. And so it's both, I guess, for me, that I think we do leave pieces of ourselves in things. The D does get left, but I think we have immense capacity for more. And so I don't think our hearts get smaller. It keeps growing.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
And those parts.
And the way you do that is living in the present, right? That's the way to just keep going.
That's the way to do it. And to me, you know, and again, you and I have talked about this, and we've talked about it here, everyone, is what really, the fuel that helps my heart grow, the fuel that helps me let go of the D in love, whether it's a painting that didn't happen, or a company that didn't happen, or an idea that didn't happen, is to really come back to, well, how can I be of service today, right? So we've talked about that connecting to your bigger why, connecting to your sense of purpose is not something somewhere out there. It's something that's really in the present moment. And that the best way for us to connect to our sense of purpose is to think of, like, how is something I'm doing contributing to something other than me, helping someone else? And for me, that is what helps me grow my heart, right? So, you know, I don't think I've even shared this. You know, when I started working on my book, or I had the initial idea for my book, Happier Now, which I know many of you have read, I have an agent. She's amazing, Janice, but she took it to a lot of publishers, and they all said no. And they said, yeah, Nataly sounds amazing, but yeah, happiness, it's been done. They didn't even really read it, because if you've studied with me, you know that the way I define happiness is not even how most people do it, because I think sadness is part of happiness. But they all said no. And it was a really hopeless moment. It was really challenging. And how did I pick myself back up? So parts of my little heart, big heart, the D's, are with all those publishers and all the things that didn't happen. But the way that I pick myself back up is to say, well, I have something to give, and I want to help people with it. So what is the next best thing I do? And that's how we actually, you know, Magic and I have an amazing publisher. But I think that's the kernel there. I know you're going to need to run. Any last words? And as JJ leaves us, so let's all say a huge moment of gratitude for JJ.
Thank you so much.
This is special for me.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I thank you so much for your time, everyone. I hope this has been useful. You know, don't give up. Live in the moment, the present moment, and just kind of get through it somehow by creating or doing something. Writing a letter, don't post it, put it in the drawer, just get it out of you and just keep going is what I would suggest if you can do it.
Look in the chat, JJ. You're part of our family now. This is a huge multi-thousand person family. So you're part of it now.
Thank you so much. Have a great
get some
day,
sleep.
everyone.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
I'm gonna play JJ's song and then I'm gonna take your questions, you guys. Take care.
ありがとうございました。
Thanks for welcoming my old friend JJ. It was really special for him. This is his song's premiere in the United States. I'm excited for you guys to all listen. Remember, the links are going to come. I'm wishing you moments of joy and ease and just being okay with how you are, and enjoy love with a D. I think it's a good inspiration for us to D some of the things that don't serve us this week. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Love with the D.